Pace laps are underway for the 24 starters on this historic oval in Hampton, Virginia. The K&N Pro Series East visiting Langley for their once-a-year go on this 3/8 mile track, Parker.
Yeah, Dave, this track, with only 6 degrees of banking in the corners, really should say about 0. This is a completely flat racetrack where you have to, as I always said as a driver, be polite to your race car. That's the only way you're going to get around here quickly and take care of your race car.
Let's see how polite the most recent winner in the K&N Pro Series East is to his car. Jason Wygant has more on Scott Heckert.
Well, guys, Scott Heckert dominated our last race, leading every lap at Winston-Salem, and he said drive off the corner was really his greatest asset, and oddly today in qualifying and practice, it was his greatest weakness. That's even stranger because he's in the exact same car. The car was actually built in 2004 for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the Xfinity Series, and other top NASCAR drivers like Ryan Truex have driven it as well. His primary car is actually a brand new composite-bodied racer. The steel car here is supposed to be the backup, but he said after dominating the last race, there's no way they can stick that thing back in the truck. They're going to keep racing it until they finally have a bad finish.
Parker, Jason brings up that drive off. How does Scott deal with it here?
Well, there's 2 ways. One is to make your car turn better in the center, which that 34 car did so well at our last race, or he just treats that gas pedal like it has an eggshell under it, Dave.
You see Greg Alding on pit road. We're hearing he might be having radio issues as we get ready to get started here at Langley. So here's your starting lineup. Rico Abreu is on the pole. William Byron, the championship leader, to his outside, and Galding inside row 3 has just given up that position.
Inside of row 6, the 91 of Justin Carroll is a local Langley Speedway late model competitor making his first start in the K&N East Series. Outside of him is the 42 of Jay Beasley, coming off a top 5 run at Bell and Gray.
Finishing out the field, you see Sam Hunt making his first start of the year in that 18 car. Well, there's Greg Galding at the back of the field. He'll have to pass 23 cars in 175 laps if he wants to win here tonight. Not Rico Abreu's concern. He leads him to green. Side by side in turn number 1. Can he maintain that advantage down the backstretch? William Byron charges through. The 9 takes the front spot.
Really impressive start by the 9 of William Byron there. Around the outside of Rico Abreu, our pole sitter, on low tire pressures on this flat racetrack, an absolute power move.
Abreu slides into second. Great battle for third between Kaz Grala on the inside and Nick Drake in that 15 on the outside.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by this outside line here that we're seeing on this flat racetrack. Really interesting to see the cars able to hang out there really early in the run on these low tire pressures.
Teammates running 1 and 2. William Byron trying to gap his teammate Rico Abreu, the pole sitter, just a little bit. And now Kaz Grala gets through, and he'll move to the inside of Abreu off of turn 4.
Yeah, he's using that apron to help turn the car a little bit. That's where you can like de-wedge the car just a tiny amount through the center, get it turned a little better, get back to the throttle and go on by Abreu there.
And now Dalton Sargent is going to try to go by Abreu, and Parker, he's stuck on that outside line. It may have a little grip, but it's not the fast way around.
Yeah, I just don't feel like this track really lends itself to allowing that outside line, especially as the tires start to heat up. The tire pressures come up, the car comes to you a little bit more, being able to make passes or even hold position out there like we saw at the beginning.
Side by side for third, Dalton Sargent in the 51. He's to the inside. The 98 of Abreu still stuck on the outside line.
Yeah, what the 51 of Dalton Sargent's doing there is you saw him come up a little bit. He's trying to force the 98 even further up out of the groove so he can get that pass done and move on and start protecting that right rear tire. Drive off and how you protect that right rear tire on this flat racetrack at the beginning of this race with no halfway break is going to be so important. So getting your passes done quickly is just as important.
J.J. Haley sticking the nose of the 5 car down in there now. 3 teammates running together here, no surprise. They're respecting each other, but Haley trying to take the spot now away from Abreu. He's got it.
He got it. Really good pass. And there, Abreu's able to slot in, get back to the bottom, and start concentrating on protecting the rear tires in this race car and making his drive off the best he can be to be at the end of the race.
So their early story is great qualifying run for Rico Abreu, but he's going the wrong way as now Nick Drake is starting to pressure him. Abreu's got to find something, collect that 98 car, and move back toward the front.
And a lot of that can be his inexperience. We know this is Rico's first season in a stock car, and how hot it was in the daytime and how fast he was in qualifying doesn't always mean if you don't know how to set up your car, it's going to be fast in the race, and we have a caution on the racetrack.
Caution is out for the 18 of Sam Hunt. Earlier this year, his friend Peyton Sellers drove that to a top 10 finish at Greenville Pickens. Dylan Hoffman is around as well. See if we can see what happened, Parker. This is the end of it.
Well, you see the 18 car here spun, and then he just creeps a little bit to get out of the way of the racetrack, and the 19 car comes and collects the 18, ending his night.
Chuck Buchanan got a piece of Sam Hunt. We're under caution at Langley. Welcome back to Langley Speedway. Dave Burns, Parker Kligerman, and Jason Wygant getting ready for the restart. The leader is the 9 car of William Byron. On the inside to his outside will be the 3 of Kaz Gralla, bringing the field back to green here on lap 15 at Langley. Another great jump for William Byron.
Yeah, not a great start by Kaz there on the outside. He fell back here almost to 4th as we get into turn 3.
And the 51 of Dalton Sargent with a quick look to the inside, and he backs off, but Sargent in that 51 looks good at the start.
Yeah, he's able to capitalize on Kaz's mistake, slot himself into second, and really put pressure on the leader there of William Byron. He's got a good race car in that 51.
Gralla now under pressure from J.J. Haley. That battle is for 3rd, and they go side by side through 3 and 4.
Yeah, and we saw the first start of the race, that outside line was able to hang for maybe 2 or 3 laps. I'll be interested to see once again, after the tires have cooled down, if Kaz is able to really make any headway on that outside line.
Behind them, Rico Abreu, the pole sitter, now back into 5th. He's got that 98 car wound up. He clears the 15 of Nick Drake.
And the 3 wasn't able to make anything happen on the outside. He's now slotted back in to 4th on the bottom. Is putting pressure back on the 5 from the back.
So William Byron continues to lead in the 9 car. He'll see if he can go wire to wire here tonight. He's led every lap so far. Got the jump on the pole sitter at the beginning. And once again, the 9 car is strong. Looking back further in the pack. To the inside, it's a 22 of Austin Hill racing with the 91 of Justin Carroll.
Justin Carroll there, the 91, is making his first start in the K&N East Series and really doing a nice job. He's hanging there right behind our winner from last week at Bowman Gray of Scott Hecker.
And of course, Carroll has that local knowledge here, Parker. That helps a lot, doesn't it?
It definitely does. When you have that intrinsic knowledge of the racetrack from being there week in and week out like he has in late models, I believe always as a driver that experience will pay off, especially as you get later in the race, knowing what this racetrack's going to do and how to make your race car good at the end of the race.
And that reminds me, several of these drivers ran late model races here a couple of weeks ago just to get experience here. They were twin 65 lappers. A number of the competitors here tonight got some experience on this 3/8 mile oval.
Well, seat time, you know, Dave, that seat time is so important for a young driver to just be in a race car. When you're in a race car, you're making race car decisions, racing decisions, and when you can do it at the track that you're going to race next in the K&N East Series, that's only going to help you when you get there in the K&N East Series car.
Scott Heckert in the 34 came into tonight's action 4th in the championship, being pursued by that 22 of Austin Hill. Hill, by the way, the early championship leader, is 2nd coming into tonight, 13 points behind our race leader, William Byron.
Scott there seems to be struggling just a little bit. As we know in practice, he struggled getting off the corners, and you can really see it there, that 34 car. Ooh, we've got a battle for the lead. 51
wow.
down it, right into
that.
the side of William Byron.
Sargent moves through to the lead. They split Buchanan on either side, and they're going to have to deal with more lap traffic as the 5 of J.J. Haley is around. And he might be stuck.
Yeah, he looks beached there, Dave. I'd say that's going to need a wrecker or something to get him out.
See if we can find out what happened here. Oh, Kaz Gralla and J.J. Haley get together.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when you see something like that, a lot of times that may be the 5 pinching to 3. He's been forced to the outside, and he's trying to be aggressive to get back in line, and the 3 just didn't give him the room. The 2 connected, and around went the 5.
And we're hearing from NASCAR now that they may penalize Gralla for aggressive driving. So he's going to come out of turn 4 here, and we'll see what NASCAR decides to do, because in that situation, they don't make a lot of calls, but there it is. There's the black flag to the 3 of Kaz Gralla. That's huge.
Dave, that is huge. And as a young driver, a lot of times in this situation, NASCAR might pull you aside and explain to you that, hey, you've got all the talent in the world, but that's going to help you win races. How you conduct yourself at the racetrack and to your fellow competitors is going to keep you here and give you respect that you need to continue winning races at this level.
1 lap penalty for Kaz Gralla. Remember, he had some contact at New Smyrna, the big crash with Scott Heckert at Greenville Pickens. So NASCAR's had their eye on Kaz. They love this young racer. They want him to be a part of NASCAR for a long time, but this may be one of those teachable moments for young Kaz Gralla. Lights are off on the pace truck. Let's reset the front of the field. William Byron in the 9 car. He's the control car, the leader. To his outside, his teammate, Dalton Sargent, row 2. Rico Abreu on the inside, Nick Drake on the outside. And row 3, Kyle Benjamin and the local driver, Justin Carroll, restarts in 6th position here at Langley. Good start by Byron. He's led every lap, but now he gets a big challenge from Sargent down the backstretch.
Dalton Sargent's holding really well on the outside there. We've seen this and the restarts in the start of the race where the outside line is able to hold on to that inside line.
Wow, even at the line that time, Byron is going to push through to the top spot again, but Sargent gave him a big challenge there on the restart. And we see, look, it's lap 33. They're going to credit the 51 of Sargent. It was close, but he nipped him at the line.
Yeah, and a lot of that can be where they put the transponder on these race cars is actually in the rear. So even if the front there doesn't clip the line first, Dalton Sargent's car could have beat the rear of his car to the line. Really impressive.
Very, very close, but we'll give that 1 lap to Dalton Sargent. Otherwise, it's been all William Byron. Behind him, the battle for 3rd between the 98 of Abreu and the 15 of Nick Drake.
And look at Abreu there. We saw him going backwards a little bit earlier in the race. Maybe hadn't set up his race car so well from qualifying to the race and for the different conditions, and he's up there in 3rd place.
Look at Scott Heckert on the outside. Jay Beasley in the 42 to the inside. That's a good battle for position. Beasley's going to get the spot going down into the corner, and after a horrible start to the season, the Las Vegas driver's having a good comeback. He had a great run at Iowa, and then just the last race at Bowman Gray Stadium had a top 5.
Yeah, really impressive run up through the field from the row 6 there on the outside is where he started. He's finding his way into the top 10, and that's what you want to see. He had a top 5 last week, and he's slowly creeping towards the top 5 in this race.
Actually, Beasley was 4th. I didn't give him enough credit, but he's had a really good comeback midpoint of the season as we see this great battling back in the pack. That's the 2 of Colin Cabry, the 44 of Dylan Bassett, and everybody else. Man, Parker, that's a big wad right there.
And the 12 of Greg Gaulding there started at the rear of the field after having radio problems, is slowly coming to the field here, and he is really in a lot of traffic. He needs to be smart. He had a really fast race car, a lot of the drivers were saying, in practice and qualifying. Had that unfortunate problem starting at the rear, but he's coming through the field. Looks like he still has a very clean race car.
Gaulding in the 12, moving to the inside of Kenzie Ruston in that 4 car. Looks like he's going to get that position. Like you said, the beginning of the race, at the very back of the pack, if you missed it, he had radio issues, had to get those fixed before he could start, but it was too late to give him his spot back, and NASCAR had him start at the rear of the field.
And we've got Kaz Grala there in the 3. 1 lap down now from that unfortunate incident. As a driver, I've been in his position where he's right now. Now he needs to just treat this race as maybe a test to really ensure NASCAR that he understands the message they've given him. Because as a young driver, when I got that message that basically said, hey, bud, you're talented, you're fast, we like you, but you're probably too aggressive. Let's tone it down a bit. He needs to show them that.
We'll see how far Kaz Grala can come back through the field here at Langley. Hampton, Virginia is home to the Langley Air Force Base, to Fort Monroe, and one of the greatest short tracks in the Southeast. Nick Drake knows that full well, and he shared some time with the fans before we got going here. Big problems for Greg Gaulding at the beginning. His radio issues had him starting at the back of the pack, but from the drop of the green, it was all William Byron. He got the jump on his teammate, Rico Abreu.
Really great start, aggressive move. He was ready for the start of this race right when they dropped the green flag.
First caution came out for the 18 of Sam Hunt, but it was Chuck Buchanan that took off the front nose there. This is the big event of the night. The 5 is spun with contact from the 3 of Kaz Grala, and NASCAR called aggressive driving on Kaz.
Probably just adding up from some of the things we saw early in the season. NASCAR finally said, hey, bud, tone it down.
They penalized him 1 lap. He is now deep in the field as William Byron continues to lead here. As you saw, has led all but 1 lap. His teammate Dalton Sargent got the jump on him at the restart and clipped him at the line. Meanwhile, the 12 of Greg Gaulding, all the way back up, challenging for 9th after starting in the rear.
Really awesome drive by the 12 of Greg Gaulding from the rear after the radio problems. He's been smart. His race car is completely clean. He's come all the way through the field. That's what you want to see. And we knew he had a fast race car. Everyone was talking about it, and he's showing it here as the way he's come to the field. I think he has a solid chance of getting that car all the way up maybe to the top 5.
Well, you saw he qualified in the top 5, so it's been fast ever since practice and qualifying here. But starting at the rear of these, mentally, Parker, that's just got to do something to you. You have to reset your brain, don't you?
Yeah, you just have to attack the race in a completely different manner. From when, if you're at the front of the field, you can be aggressive. You can be forceful about saying, I want to be the leader. Or you can take the opposite approach of just taking care of things because you have the track position early. When you start the back, you've got to worry about not going a lap down, taking care of your race car and avoiding possible wrecks and calamity that can happen when there's so many cars you have to get through.
They work around the 45 of Christian Salea, moving him further down to the inside as they work around Ronnie Bassett Jr. and the 04 now moving by. Back up front toward the front, it's the 15 of Nick Drake, the 27 of Kyle Benjamin, and the 42 of Jay Beasley.
And that 42 there has also done a lot like Greg Gaulding we've seen. He's come from about row 6, I believe it was, 12th place at the start of this race, and methodically moved his way forward to find himself just outside the top 5. A really impressive run by the 42 of Jay Beasley.
Nick Drake still looking for his first win of the season. The 27 of Benjamin, of course, the Bristol winner, and trying to capitalize on that for the rest of his 2015 season. A Roush Fenway Racing development driver is that pilot in the number 27 car and making his way through the lower ranks of NASCAR.
Yeah, and what we're seeing here right now, what they're doing is they're in that rhythm. I call it the short track rhythm. It's where you're just basically almost doing it to song, right? You're hearing the motor come up in RPMs and drop in RPMs, up in RPMs, and you're taking care of your tires while watching that 15 of Nick Drake to say, if he gets a little mistake here, I'm going to capitalize, but I'm not going to force the issue because we're not even barely halfway in this race.
Drake 7th in points coming into tonight. The 27 of Benjamin 3rd in points coming into this evening. So they certainly have a lot on the line here as they try to catch that 9 car, winning William Byron, the only 2-time winner on the circuit so far this year.
And that 9 car has been impressive. I think it's going to be a tall order for these guys right here to catch him, but we don't know. These guys could be taking care of their tires better than William. Only time will tell.
That may be a strategy for someone that's trying to catch that 9 car. William Byron still out front here at Langley Speedway. Back with you in Still Under Green here in Hampton, Virginia. The Visit Hampton 175. 102 laps in at this point, and it has been all William Byron. As you see, he's gotten past the 3 of Kaz Grala, who is already a lap down, and now pressuring his teammate J.J. Haley to put him a lap down.
Really impressive run by William Byron. He's just shown to be dominant. And that H. Scott Motorsports team, just like we saw at Bowman Gray, has another time where one of their cars is absolutely dominating the race.
And yet, a teammate, the 5 of Haley, can be that much further off. It's interesting to see.
Well, it just shows you maybe different experience levels, etc. We know the 5 had a little bit of a tussle there with the 3 early in the race, so I don't want to put too much blame on him. I think he was doing pretty well up until that point.
You see working traffic here, the 98 of Rico Abreu, he was our pole sitter. Kenzie Ruston is in that 4, and the 15 of Nick Drake trying to get by her.
And the 15, the 27, the 42 have been in this sort of train here for almost 30-some-odd laps, I feel like. I think they're being smart. This is the time in the race to kind of settle in, find out what you need to do to your race car or how you need to protect your tires to be the best at the end. As I say time and time again in these races, you can't stress enough that when you have a chance to conserve some tires and make your car better for that last 10%, you've got to take advantage of it. They're doing that now.
And that 4th car in line, that black 91, that's Justin Carroll, the local late model driver from right here in Langley Speedway. Gets his laps here, knows what he's doing around here, and is showing himself very well in 7th right behind Beasley.
It's a very good run for that 91 of Justin Carroll. Just a very smart, impressive run by that driver who has a lot of track knowledge, but he doesn't have a lot of knowledge about this series. And he's showing that track knowledge, he's making the best use of it right now.
That battle for 4th between 4 cars continues. Back up front, the 9 of William Byron. He's now caught Scott Heckert at the back of the pack, Parker. The 34 is about to get lapped.
Wow, what a difference a race makes. That was the car that was absolutely dominant in the same fashion we've seen William Byron be here tonight at Bowman Gray. And he Scott cited that at the time, at that race, what made him so good was his drive off. And we know he struggled with that earlier in the day in practice and qualifying. So this is just an amazing example of even if you're just a little bit off in this series, you can go from being dominant to being lapped.
Jason reported on that to open the show. Scott's disappointment with the car versus its dominant run at Bowman Gray. He said they'd run it until it wasn't really a winner anymore. I don't know what they'll think after this, Parker.
Yeah, I guess this is a time where you need to sort of collect yourself and say, what did we do so well last time that we didn't do this time? What I look at, though, is I was able to kind of catch up with Scott before this race, and he told me that one of his plans was to really conserve his race car. And a way you can do that at a place like this that I mentioned earlier in the race is that I was told early in my career by a crew chief, and Chris Carrier, who had a ton of experience, was that you need to treat that gas pedal like it has an eggshell under it. And this is a track that all these drivers are using that, where you really treat that gas pedal. Ooh, we're getting to a little lap traffic here. They have to navigate this well. William Byron is being very smart right here. And what you do when you have that eggshell in there is it just means being gentle and polite with that gas pedal, can conserve those rear tires, and maybe this 34 car can find some speed later in this race. Yikes. As he gets into a lapper there. William Byron shoved all the way to the outside. This is a tough spot to be. He gets all the way in that tire and dust clag, as they say sometimes, and you just need to be smart about that. Get it off your tires and continue going.
Christian Celaya in the 45 car there in harm's way. Heckert makes it through. The 9 of Byron, the leader, makes it through. And they continue this battle. Heckert's got a lot to fight for here, Parker. The last car on the lead lap, he'd like to stay there.
Yeah, coming in here fourth in points, only 18 points out of the lead. He's really in the thick of this championship battle. And when you have a night like this, you need to be smart and collect as many points as possible. But there's times like right now where you just need to say, I need to fight and be aggressive for everything I've got to stay on this lead lap, to give myself the best chance of moving up towards the end of this race. Because if he goes a lap down now, that could effectively kill his chances of getting into the top 5 or near it.
Man, I don't even see second place, so Byron has nothing to be really aggressive about here. Second place not pressuring him by any means. So the 9 of William Byron continuing to just ride behind his teammate Scott Heckert, who is on the tail end of the lead lap. If you don't know William Byron, it's his 3rd year in cars on the track. He spent a lot of time iRacing, which got him prepared for this career, and you would wonder if it was going to work. But after racing Legends cars for a year and after driving late models for Junior Motorsports this year in the K&N Pro Series East, William Byron is really proving himself.
Dave, I've always been a huge fan of sim racing. That's how I found myself moving up in the ranks and was able to get seat time. By the time I was in the Nationwide Series, which is now the Xfinity Series for the first time, I had really only done about 30 to 40 car races in my entire life, but I had sim raced every single night on iRacing and such, and I really believe that. And William Byron is showing what sim racing can do for a young driver in their career, getting out there and getting reps. It's almost like in basketball, you can go shoot hoops. But as a race car driver, if you can get on into sim racing, you can go run races and make racing decisions night in and night again.
And we mentioned earlier tonight, Byron is one of 4 drivers who ran a couple of late model races here recently just to get experience on this track. Dalton Sargent did it, Colin Caber did it, and Tyler Hughes was also at Langley Speedway getting some laps here just to know how to push their race car and where the lines were best at this short oval.
Well, and something I'm seeing right now is I have to wonder if there's a little bit of a team help going on here between this 34 and the 9, being teammates. I just don't see the same aggression out of the 9 right now to get past that 34 that we saw with some other lappers and some other cars. I think he might be giving that 34 just a little bit of a break at this time.
Looking back, the 15 of Nick Drake is in 4th position. There's his constant companion tonight, Kyle Benjamin in the 27. And, of course, the 42 of Jay Beasley. Mentioned Beasley earlier. Started the year, as we see a little contact now from Benjamin, with engine failure. No problem in the motor of that 27, Parker.
Just a little bump and run, got to the inside, and is making the most of it. The 15, Nick Drake, is really squeezing on the 27 to try and not let the 42 get up to on the inside as well. He does a good job of that, slots in. No harm, no foul. That's exactly how you want to use the bumper at a short track. Very impressive move by Kyle Benjamin.
Benjamin to 4th now, slips Drake back to 5th. The 42 of Beasley continues to ride in 6th, and Justin Carroll behind them in 7th.
And it looks like Kyle Benjamin there just has a little bit of a chance to catch Rico Abreu there. And I think that's what you're seeing, this 27 car just coming on a little bit better than these cars he's been around most of this race. But we haven't seen that 42 of Jay Beasley. Oh, and a caution on the racetrack.
Caution is out again. We mentioned and it's a 5 car of J.J. Haley around on the front straightaway. Remember, Haley involved earlier in an incident with Kaz Gralla, the 3 car. Gralla was penalized. Haley to the rear and has been making his way forward again, but now we see him by himself on the front straightaway. Jason Wygant may have more on the 5 story.
Well, J.J. Haley's team says he got turned by the number 3 of Kaz Gralla, who had already served a penalty earlier in this race for aggressive driving. And this is especially a sensitive topic for Haley, who told me earlier today When he grew up racing, his mom and dad said, if you touch another car, you're out of the race. They did not accept that type of driving. And he says one of the biggest things he's had to adjust to here in the K&N Pro Series is how aggressive the other drivers are. Now he's had to make 2 stops to try to get the car right after that hit. Said he knows he's going to have to learn to be a little more aggressive himself to succeed in this series.
Great point, Jason. And I've actually been on both ends of the spectrum. I've been in Haley's position where at times in my career I was not aggressive enough. I had been told by people on my team, be more aggressive. And I've been on the flip side where Kaz is. I have to say, Kaz might want to tone it down. I do feel that NASCAR might have some words with him after this race, already being penalized once for aggressive driving.
So Haley will rejoin the field at the back once again. The leader continues to be William Byron. Dalton Sargent got a great jump on him earlier on the outside. We'll see if he can do it this time. Abreu and Kyle Benjamin, the white cars in row 2, as we come to green here again at Langley. Huge jump for Byron that time.
Absolutely huge. That was he was like he shot out of a cannon in some respects, right? Beating Dalton Sargent there, not even giving Dalton a chance to use that outside line that we've seen be effective on the restarts at the start of this race.
Byron knows about restarts, having led wire-to-wire at Greenville Pickens earlier this year. He's got to believe that his best opportunity to win this thing is to win every restart.
Absolutely. That is most important, especially when you're the leader and you control the restart. You never should have a chance where you don't come out of that restart in the lead. If you have, you've made a mistake, and you need to work on it.
Wow, Abreu's in trouble. The 27 of Benjamin, 15 of Drake, they both get by, and now Beasley's going to slip by on the inside. Rico having trouble in that 98 car.
He's just shoved the outside. It looks like he's just struggling with his race car a little bit here. He's even getting hit from behind on the outside. I'm not sure if he has a problem or what. Maybe he got some stuff on his tires, being that he got a little high. He got some dirt and grime on his tires, and he's trying to get that taken off, but he is really falling back here.
Wow, and that can happen, Parker, right? You think it might be a flat tire, but all you really did was get up in the marbles.
Exactly, and it will really throw you for a loop, especially when you're learning these race cars. They don't feel like they have a lot of grip anyways on these small, skinny tires, and then you add in getting a bunch of dirt and grime on them, and suddenly it feels like you're on ice. Ooh, he gets in the back of Justin Carroll there just a little bit. I think he needs to calm down, get back settled here, and get back into his rhythm, as he had a fast race car for most of this race.
He was in the second row on the restart. He's all the way back to 8th place now, getting a challenge from Austin Hill on the outside.
And this will tell us right here how much he is struggling. If that 22 of Austin Hill is able to drive around Rico Abreu, then we really know he's struggling, because we haven't seen many passes to the outside past 3 or 4 laps into the run.
Hill, the early championship leader, winning the race at New Smyrna earlier in the year, the first race of the season, has not been heard from much lately, but he's still second in points, 13 points behind leader William Byron coming into tonight. The Winston, Georgia driver trying to race by that 98 car, who's been very quick. Remember, he sat on the pole here tonight.
And what I'm seeing here is just that I feel like, as I said before, we might just be seeing a little bit of a struggle out of the 98. Maybe he just hasn't been able to collect himself. They're touching a little bit there. And I think in a lot of ways, this is where Rico Abreu needs to be understood, that he's a rookie. He's trying to learn these cars, and the way you do that is run laps. Don't get yourself spun out in a wreck here. This isn't the end of the world. You're still fighting to be in the top 10 and might have a chance to get back in the top 5.
Great side-by-side NASCAR racing the fans love to see. And Scott Hecker gets into Austin Hill. He doesn't want to miss an opportunity here.
Now that's where you just aggressively leave the brakes or your braking point a little bit late, turn the car in early, and the 22 had no chance of knowing that he was coming in there. Just a little tap, and he's on the inside and may be able to get this pass done.
Now they race cleanly down the backstretch through 3 and 4. Heckert with a nose advantage coming off the corner. He'll take the spot from Austin Hill.
That's a good pass. That's a clean pass that started maybe a little bit hairy, but they both negotiated well. No harm, no foul, and they're off and running.
Heckert is through. Hill settles in. Just a little over 30 laps to go here at Langley Speedway. Back in Hampton, Virginia on a sultry night, William Byron has been hot, and while you were away, a great battle. Gray Gaulding to the inside of Jay Beasley. Nick Drake with contact from Beasley. That was for 4th.
Wow, that's where you just get in a little too hot by Jay Beasley into the 15. Those two can't seem to get away from each other there tonight.
Drake falls back into the clutches of Justin Carroll and Scott Heckert, who's now making a little progress. Looks, Parker, like he might have saved that 34 car correctly.
Exactly. That's what we thought we saw, was that he was, you know, at the time when he was about to get lapped, it just looked like he was taking care of his race car, taking care of his tires, what he did so well at Bowman Gray when he won last. And I think that's what we're seeing here tonight, is he's saved his tires and able to move through the field on some guys that probably haven't done it as well.
15 laps to go. Heckert moves Carroll back a position. Your leader is still William. Oh, he may not. Carroll's fighting back on the outside well.
He's doing well there on the outside. I wonder if Scott's still being just a bit smart right now, knowing there's still a good amount left in this race. As he can maybe get the 91 here and then get to that 15 and Nick Drake and get 2 positions in a quick amount of time.
I think Drake is probably tired of getting pushed around. Nick trying to get a little room off of these two. Coming off of 4, slides that 15 car.
Yeah, the 34 is using that apron very effectively, which tells me he might just be a little bit tight in the center. He's trying to use that apron to de-wedge the car just a little bit, get it turning, and if you can do that, you can get back to the throttle. And here he's getting by the 91 and the inside of Nick Drake. That's impressive.
Down to the first turn, Scott Heckert will take the spot. More contact on Drake, and Justin Carroll tries to move by.
Drake's rear bumper there might be a bit abused after this race, as we've seen a little bit here. But, you know, that happens when you don't take care of your stuff and you start to fall back late in a race. You're going to get moved out of the way.
And we talked about being aggressive. Here's the 27 of Kyle Benjamin on the inside of Dalton Sargent now. That's a battle for position. They've got lap traffic in front, battle for second.
That's as close as you can get without touching each other right there. Really clean racing.
Jason Wygant with more on the battle between Benjamin and Sargent.
Everybody said this race would come down to the last 20 laps. There's no longer a need to conserve tires. You can see the 27 of Kyle Benjamin really coming on strong and starting to push Dalton Sargent in second. His team said really he's in a clear lot of lap traffic. Wait, so they don't want to have to worry about the tires. He can really push the speed of that car. It's definitely starting to come together with Kyle now.
Dave, what I heard there from Jason's report is that team has told Kyle Benjamin it is go time. We're within 10 to go. Do not save your tires anymore. As he gets in the back of Dalton Sargent there just a little bit, forces Dalton up the track and gets the position. That's another move by the Kyle Benjamin of getting in someone's rear bumper and going on by. That's aggression. He's doing exactly what his team told him to do.
And you said little tap. What does that feel like when you're the driver of the 51?
Well, that is the worst place you can get touched in a car because it's on the entry of the corner where the car is its most unstable, and at that point, even just the slightest tap can send you around. Dalton Sargent did a good job of hanging onto his race car up in the dirt and grime and tire debris up there, getting it cleaned off and getting back in this race, and maybe having a chance to move up and catch that 27 again.
So his car now stable, but in third. The 27 right here of Kyle Benjamin. He moves through to second, but he's a ways behind the 9 of William Byron with just 5 laps to go now for Byron to win his 3rd race of the season. Remember, he won at Greenville-Pickens. He was the highest finishing East driver at Iowa, so he gets credit for a win there. Byron trying to go for 3 here tonight with Sargent. Little left to do in that 51.
Yeah, it's just that H. Scott Motorsports car of William Byron in the 9 has just been very, very on point tonight. He's basically had that perfect night from the drop of the green flag. He's been able to secure himself to the lead and continue to not let anyone even have just a glimpse of showing an error in his armor, and he's been able to take the lead and run away with it.
And we mentioned how good he was on the restarts. Led every lap at Greenville-Pickens. That won't be the case tonight. 1 lap was led by his teammate Sargent on a restart, but Byron has been able to pull away and really launch on every green flag restart we've had tonight, Parker.
Exactly, and something I would like to say about that, though, is that 1 lap, I did basically give it to him. When you can lead every lap as he has in this race, from starting second, you weren't even the leader at the drop of the green flag. That's a very impressive night. That's a night of perfection in my book, and also how clean his race car is right now. He's had a very smart race.
Some lap traffic up in front of William Byron now. He's got just 2 laps before he takes home the checkers here at Langley, and they're getting together in front of him.
Yeah, with how big a lead he has right now, this is where he can kind of hang out, watch those 2, keep his eyes, as I always say, ahead of the racetrack in terms of just be ahead of those 2 guys in front of you. You see everything they do, and don't let them make a mistake in front of you.
White flag for William Byron. Teammates Cabry and Amos in front of him. They'll see the leader in their rearview mirror, but it's been all William Byron here tonight at Langley Speedway. William Byron will win for the 3rd time in 2015.
Very intelligent win by William Byron. Overall, a night of perfection, as I said before. They can be very proud this night as a feather in their cap.
Strong, strong race for the 17-year-old from Charlotte. Just his 1st year of full-time racing on the K&N Pro Series East, and already he's collected W number 3 for that 9 team of H. Scott Motorsports with Justin Marks. They're doing a fantastic job preparing the cars for him, and Byron is showing that he can get it done on the racetrack. We'll talk to our young winner in Victory Lane when we return. K&N Pro Series Racing on NBCSN is brought to you by K&N High Flow Air Filters and Air Intake Systems, because everyone loves that fast car smell. Winning William Byron does it again here at the Langley Speedway. He is victorious in the Visit Hampton 175 here on the 3/8 mile oval, and he did it in fine fashion, leading all but one lap. Jason Wygant is catching up with him in victory lane.
William Byron takes the win. He's the points leader by an even larger margin now, and also avenging a rough finish after a crash with Austin Hill at our last race in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So a good way to answer back. And this crew is very pumped, because as they try to win this championship, you know you got to bounce back from the tough ones. William, I know the last race didn't go exactly the way you wanted. Way to answer back here. How are you able to keep the spirits up and come back out and win again?
Yeah, I just had to get redemption. Had a bad couple weeks. Won a late model race, which was really encouraging, and but we came back really strong at Langley here, and just so proud of this H. Scott Motorsports with Justin Marks' Liberty University team.
You led pretty much from the start of this one, but we knew that tires would be an issue without the pit stop midway through the race. So were you able to go hard from the beginning, or were you kind of conservative?
I was kind of conserving as much as I could, but the 51 was really good, and just congrats to this whole team for putting together a great car. And we show up pretty well, and we get it so much better in practice. We just have really good communication on this race team.
You really only started as a race car driver 3 years ago. Did you think you'd make this kind of progress this quickly?
Not really. I'm still getting used to a couple things, but it's been a lot of fun. This is a dream come true for me. I sat, on the couch watching NASCAR races when I was 14 years old, thinking I would never get in a race car, and now I'm here 3 years later. So just thankful for Liberty University and my whole team for supporting me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Liberty University, by the way, he takes college credit classes there. Recently did a paper, and they said, "What do you do in your free time?" He said, "I drive race cars for you guys."
And they're from Lynchburg, Virginia, not far away from here, Parker.
3 years from the couch to being a leader in the K&N East Series. That's awesome.
You see the final results. We saw the great battle between Benjamin and Sargent, Galding all the way from 24th to 4th by race end.
And the 34 there of Scott Hecker in 6th, who was going a lap down to come all the way back to finish 6th in the lead lap. Very impressive.
You see Casgrala, who was penalized for aggressive driving, finishes 17th on the night. J.J. Haley was 20th. And these 4 drivers round out the field here tonight at Langley Speedway. And the top 3 drivers have all won races this year in some form or fashion in the K&N Series. Of course, Sargent out in the West. Kyle Benjamin, second place finisher tonight, won at Bristol. He stands by with Jason Wygant.
Well, Kyle Benjamin didn't have the run he wanted in Winston-Salem either, but way to bounce back here in a strong charge late. How were you able to get faster as the laps wore on?
Our car was really good in the long run. We seemed to be able to roll better in the center than most people and kind of maintain it off the corner. So I was kind of just rolling up on them slowly but surely. Everyone was really close. It's hard to get track position there and make passes because, it's a really tough series. Everyone's within half a tenth of each other. So when you get by them, it's really hard. Once you do that and get the track position you need, you can kind of run up front. But just slowly making our way up, keeping the tires in the back of the car and making it to the end.
Kyle really came on strong there at the end of that race. He had conserved his tires well and made a lot of passes in that last 10% of the race.
And Benjamin now up to 2nd in the championship. He leaps over Austin Hill, but the lead has grown for Byron. It's now 23 over 2nd place as he continues to charge toward a K&N Pro Series East championship. Jason?
2nd at our last race, 3rd tonight. It looks like the consistency is back for you. Is that something you're really focusing on, just strong finishes every week?
Yeah, first off, I just have to say thank you to everybody at Harry Scott Motorsports with Justin Marks. They gave us a really good 51 Galt Chevy tonight. But overall, really we're going out there searching for a win every weekend. Unfortunately, we keep on getting these top 3s, which is really good, consistent runs. But overall, maybe not what we're looking for, but they're going to come soon enough. Just a really long race tonight, 175 laps. We had a lot of green flag laps there, and it kind of hurt us a little bit. Just started to lose some forward drive, started really just to spin the rear tires coming off the corners there, and I feel like if we would have had a few more cautions, it would have been able to help cool everything back down, get everything back under the car, and I feel like we would have had a little bit better of a shot to go up there and try to race the 9. Unfortunately the 27 got around us there at the end, but it is what it is, and we'll just keep on moving on and go to the next one.
The 27 maybe gave a little bit of a shot, but that's, you heard Dalton say there, he may have just abused his tires a little bit too much, and that 27 had saved well, was moving forward fast.
More K&N Series racing July 2nd. That'll be the Sonoma event for the West Series. Hey, Kyle Larson won that last year. That could be an interesting starting field out there. What a great night we've had at Langley Speedway here in Hampton, Virginia. It was a rough night for some. It was a penalty box night for others. Kaz Grala will recover and become a future star here in NASCAR. Kyle Benjamin was able to work his way to second, but he didn't have anything for the 9 of William Byron, who wins again in the K&N Pro Series East. For Parker Kligerman and Jason Wygant, I'm Dave Burns saying see you next time.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.